There was a time when humans had no money at all. There was only nature and the struggle to survive. Food, clothing, and shelter. Everything people needed came directly from the natural world. Some people hunted animals. Some crafted tools, while others gathered fruits and grains. Slowly, humans began to think, if I have something useful, can it fulfill someone else's need? That thought gave birth to exchange. Meat for fruit, grain for fish. Over time, people became skilled in different tasks. Some became hunters, some artisans, some farmers. This exchange built trust, formed communities, and created cooperation among people. Long before money existed, this simple system of barter laid the very first foundation of trade in human civilization. In ancient times, a man was sitting in the middle of the forest. In front of him was a large pile of fruits, more than he needed. He realized that he didn't need everything for himself alone. He looked at the fruits and thought, he had food, but not all kinds of food. Some needs in his life were still unmet. In the distance, by the river, another person was fishing. He held a few fish, but had no fruits or grains. Seeing this, the first man wondered, could what I have in excess be useful to him? Slowly, he stepped forward. No fear, no greed. Just necessity and curiosity guided him. He opened his hands and showed the fruits. The other person held up the fish. Both understood something could happen here. They paused for a moment. No words were needed, but a decision was forming in their eyes. Then they placed the goods on the ground. Fruits beside fish. This was history's first simple exchange. The fruits went into one hand, the fish into the other. No one lost. Both received what they needed. This small exchange marked the beginning of a great idea, where necessity taught humans. Cooperation was the way to survive. In ancient times, a man was sitting in the middle of the forest. In front of him was a large pile of fruits, more than he needed. He realized that he didn't need everything for himself alone. He looked at the fruits and thought, he had food, but not all kinds of food. Some needs in his life were still unmet. In the distance, by the river, another person was fishing. He held a few fish, but had no fruits or grains. Seeing this, the first man wondered, could what I have in excess be useful to him? Slowly, he stepped forward. No fear, no greed. Just necessity and curiosity guided him. He opened his hands and showed the fruits. The other person held up the fish. Both understood something could happen here. They paused for a moment. No words were needed, but a decision was forming in their eyes. Then they placed the goods on the ground. Fruits beside fish. This was history's first simple exchange. The fruits went into one hand, the fish into the other. No one lost. Both received what they needed. This small exchange marked the beginning of a great idea, where necessity taught humans. Cooperation was the way to survive. After the exchanges, people shared the food equally among themselves. The main character sat nearby, watching everyone receive what they needed. He reflected quietly, thinking about the process and the lessons it brought. The calm forest and open land around him mirrored the peacefulness of the community. One of the primitive men, with a completely different face, expressed gratitude to the main character. He nodded calmly, reinforcing trust among the group. Repeated exchanges became part of daily life. Everyone knew how to give and how to receive, making the system more organized. Goods were neatly arranged on the ground, showing order and clarity. The main character observed, helping when needed, but without dominating anyone. At times, minor misunderstandings occurred during exchanges. The main character calmly mediated, guiding others toward cooperation. People began working together instead of competing. Men and women helped each other, learning the value of teamwork. The community started growing closer, forming small clusters of huts with fire pits. Everyone contributed, shared, and trusted each other. The main character stood among the group, equally respected by men and women alike. No hierarchy existed, only shared understanding and collaboration. Finally, the scene widened to show a peaceful primitive society. Goods, people, children, and nature existed in harmony, all built on the foundation of simple barter. However, direct exchanges had their problems. Sometimes, people couldn't determine the proper value of goods. One person might offer too much of a single item, while another offered too little. This often disrupted the exchange. Transporting goods to distant people was another challenge. Goods could get damaged or spoil along the way. The main character observed these difficulties carefully. He saw humans trying to trade, but uncertainty slowed them down. Some primitive humans held piles of fruits, unsure of how much meat or fish to receive in return. Others struggled to judge fairness, watching each other cautiously. Occasionally, goods were damaged during transport, making trade even more complicated. The main character noted these problems thoughtfully. He suggested simple solutions, like grouping goods, measuring portions on leaves, and observing quality. Male and female humans with different faces followed his guidance, learning as they went. He demonstrated basic ways to compare quantities and values, using sticks and leaves. Everyone observed carefully, understanding the new method. Even distant exchanges became more organized, with care taken to prevent spoilage. The main character coordinated, ensuring fairness and reducing waste. Groups of humans discussed together how much to trade, paying attention to quality and quantity. Everyone listened, exchanged ideas, and adjusted their trades accordingly. Over time, the community began to manage barter more efficiently. Goods were measured, portions calculated, and exchanges became smoother. The main character stood among them, calm and thoughtful, guiding the process. Through observation, planning, and cooperation, the primitive community learned to overcome the challenges of trade. By learning to organize, measure, and communicate, humans started turning barter into a more reliable system. Even without money, their cooperation and careful thinking made trade more fair and sustainable. People began to understand that every item had an approximate value. For example, 10 dried fruits could be exchanged for 1 kilogram of fish. The main character demonstrated this to others in the group. Men and women with different faces watched carefully, learning how trade could be fair. He showed portions of fruits and fish laid out on leaves, explaining the principle of equal exchange. Everyone observed closely, noting how much to give and how much to receive. Through repeated exchanges, humans slowly built social trust. They learned to rely on each other, knowing that cheating would break the agreement. The main character guided the small community, ensuring that everyone followed the agreed values. Primitive men and women participated actively, understanding that fairness strengthened relationships. Discussions arose among the group about approximate values for different goods. The main character calmly mediated, making sure all voices were heard. As trust grew, exchanges became smoother and more predictable. People shared goods according to agreed rules, and no one felt cheated. In this way, humans created their first economic relationships within small groups. Cooperation, trust, and an understanding of value formed the foundation of a functioning community. As trade grew more complex, people began using special materials to make exchanges easier. Natural shells became a form of security, simple and recognizable. The main character held a small metallic piece, showing it to others as a potential medium for trade. Men and women with different faces observed closely, curious about its usefulness. Primitive humans learned to recognize shells, small stones, and metal pieces as acceptable items for exchange. The main character demonstrated how easily they could be carried, counted, and shared. A primitive female human exchanged shells for dried meat, following this new method. Others watched carefully, understanding that these items were fair, portable, and universally acceptable. The main character organized the proto-currency into small piles for easier trade. Different humans participated, learning to follow the new system. They compared shells and small metallic pieces, discovering that these special goods simplified barter. People realized that this could be a foundation for a future concept, money. The main character reflected thoughtfully, holding a small metallic piece, imagining a universally accepted medium of exchange. Men, women, and children observed, understanding that trust and fairness were now linked to these special items. Finally, the small primitive community began using shells, stones, and small metallic pieces for trade. The main character stood at the center, guiding everyone as exchanges became smoother, fairer, and more organized. Trade increased human social interaction. People learned the value of goods, fairness, agreement, and trust. The main character observed as small groups exchanged fruits, fish, and shells. Men and women with unique faces communicated and negotiated, building stronger social bonds. Discussions arose about fairness, approximate value, and trust. The main character guided these conversations thoughtfully, ensuring everyone understood. Primitive humans organized circles for trading, exchanging shells, stones, and small items. The main character stood in the center, supervising, while people learned to cooperate. Gradually, exchanges expanded from small items to larger trades. People collaborated, showing the birth of bigger trade cycles and organized economic activity. Finally, a primitive community emerged where barter and proto-currency items facilitated both social and economic growth. The main character watched calmly as trust, cooperation, and shared value systems became the foundation of their society. Humans learned that trust and fairness are the foundation of trade. The main character observed as primitive humans exchanged goods peacefully, building stronger social bonds. They understood the approximate value of goods, such as fruits, fish, shells, and stones. Guided by the main character, men and women carefully measured, exchanged, and discussed fairness. Cooperation in trade strengthened social connections. The main character showed that by working together, the community could grow stronger and more organized. Using shells, stones, and small metallic pieces, humans created systems that simplified barter. The main character guided these exchanges, ensuring fairness, portability, and acceptance for everyone. Small barter systems gradually evolved into larger trade cycles. The main character observed as the community expanded, exchanging goods more efficiently and cooperatively. Social and economic interactions built trust and mutual respect. Primitive humans, guided by the main character, learned that shared rules and agreed values benefit everyone. Finally, the community thrived through cooperation, trust, and organized trade. The main character stood proudly as men, women, and children actively interacted, exchanging goods, sharing knowledge, and strengthening bonds. Through these lessons, humans discovered the true value of social and economic collaboration, laying the foundation for future trade and currency.